The world of fighting games is an interesting one, but it was debatably even more intriguing in the pre-internet days. In the early 90s, a time period where you couldn't just hop online to find out some information, it would be an era in whereby video games had a lot more mystique and unanswered questions surrounding them. In this golden age of gaming unknowns, all sorts of rumours will pop up, with it being tough to determine for sure whether these were fact or fiction. But, fiction or not, sometimes these bizarre stories surrounding games would inspire developers when it came to producing content for future entries in popular series. Today's story is one of the greatest examples of such a tale unfolding. So sit back, relax and join me as we look back at one of fighting games' most crazily conceived characters. With all of that said, hello ladies and gentlemen, Big Daddy Top Hat here. This is the story of Ermac, the fighting game character born from the existence of gaming errors. Yeah! Hidden characters are a true tradition in fighting games back in the 90s. Nowadays it's rare for a character to be truly hidden, as publishers would rather outright sell you characters as post-launch DLC or as a pre-order bonus in this depressing service game driven world. But a few decades ago, secret fighters were a staple. In the American magazine Electronic Gaming Monthly, it would infamously feature Sheng Long, the long-lost master to Ryu and Ken, as an April Fool's Day joke, who would eventually come to fruition as Goken in Street Fighter IV. Fatal Fury Special would expand their SNK universe by having Ryo Sakazaki from the Art of Fighting franchise cameo in a dream match, if players met certain conditions. But the first fighting game that would actively market itself on hidden characters would easily be Midway's Mortal Kombat. Released in 1992, the brutal American developed fighter would feature two palette swap ninjas, the blue Sub-Zero and the yellow Scorpion, making the most of the arcade game's limited storage capacity. But before certain matches, a green ninja would appear on screen, dropping various teases such as "Look to la Luna" or "Blocking will get you nowhere," alongside with more definitive statements such as "I am Reptile" and 10 million points if you destroy me. As we know, in 2023, Reptile would only be the beginning of Midway peppering hidden characters in their franchises, and not just in Mortal Kombat. While the Fatality introducing Fighter would grow to add Noob Cybot, Jade, multiple Smokes, and multiple Chameleons in their 2D fighters, Prince Charles, Will Smith, Hillary Clinton, and even Reptile would make appearances in their sister NBA Jam series. Wonderful! With hidden characters being an open secret in Midway's titles, they knew how to have a bit of fun with it, which leads us back to the fighter we are discussing today. To recap how and when players first met Ermac, one would have to go back to the original arcade releases. Arcade machines would have a way for owners to access an internal menu. Traditionally, these would involve stats and settings that would be beneficial for both the arcade owner and the developers of the title. Usually arcade owners can change things such as the cost of a play, the difficulty of the levels or enemies, when extra lives would be rewarded, and developers would find beneficial information for later revisions or sequels, such as how many times a certain character has been used. In Mortal Kombat, an entry for Ermac would appear under the Shang Tsung beaten counter. Revision 3.0 would place this directly under Reptile battles, leading players to incorrectly assume that Ermac would be like Reptile, a hidden character in the title. Problem is, Ermac stood for Error Macros, which co-creator Ed Boon would explain as, he wasn't a character, he was a macro I wrote for catching code, errors and traps. Effectively a way for the developers to see how stable the game was. He had used this in the previous release of Smash TV, so it wasn't exactly unknown to Midway, but by revision 5.0, the Ermac listing had been completely removed. Electronic Gaming Monthly, already having gained some notoriety for their other pranks, ran a mocked up image of a red ninja with Ermac wins in the October 1993's issue's Tricks of the Trade column. Purported to be a low quality Polaroid submitted by Tony Casey, it can be confirmed that it was a picture from the Warrior Shrine stage of the Super Nintendo console port. With Mortal Kombat being an incomparable success story, a sequel was quickly fast-tracked, and Midway leaned into the social discussions of such a hidden character. If Reptile drove players to put more and more quarters into the machine in the first title, wouldn't more characters drive even more attention in the second? Let's explore such a question in a moment, but first let me quickly thank all the new people who have subscribed to this channel recently. By hitting that subscribe button, you help supercharge this content in the algorithm, meaning I can continue to provide content on retro fighting games. If you want videos like this every week, it would really help me out if you subscribed right now. Yeah, on with the video. Mortal Kombat 2 would add Reptile as a main character, but then would tease Smoke, a grey-dressed smoking male ninja, and Jade, a dark-skinned green female ninja, based on the newly introduced Kitana and Mileena, with Kano and Sonya Blade being removed from the playable cast, and new villains Kintaro and Shao Kahn being the bosses of the title. There would easily be a number of characters players could plausibly interact with in the game. Beating the game would show the garbled text of Simu odds noto exis, which sounds a lot like the Welsh language, which can be arranged into Ermac does not exist, and randomly before matches, Jade would appear asking Ermac who. When GamePro directly asked Ed Boon about the mysterious character, he simply said, "I can't tell you if it's in Mortal Kombat 2. I can't say it's a bug, but it's an event that happens in the game that shouldn't happen." Likewise, marketing director Roger Sharp would state, "If you're one of the fortunate few to ever encounter Ermac, fine, savor the moment, because it could never happen again." Ermac would not be available in the title, and only Jade and Smoke would be hidden fighters. Shao Kahn and Kintaro would not be playable in the title, and Sonya and Kano would be relegated to stage cameos. Still, in an associated Mortal Kombat 2 comic book, written and drawn by Mortal Kombat co-creator John Tobias, in a surprise twist, it would feature a red ninja alongside Sub-Zero and Smoke. By the time Mortal Kombat 3 came around, many players largely assumed Ermac was never coming, as they had new mysteries to chase. As the initial release of the title lacked any of the human palette swap ninjas, with Mileena, Jade and Kitana out of the plot, Sub-Zero gaining a new unmasked form and Scorpion missing the title for the first time since his introduction, players would be hunting for these known unknowns. Mortal Kombat 3 would instead introduce cybernetic ninjas Sector and Cyrax, nicknamed Ketchup and Mustard during their pre-release builds due to their red and yellow schemes. And Smoke and Noob Saibot being the title's only hidden fighters, now based on the cybernetic ninjas and Kano respectively. With such glaring omissions, Midway decided to take a peek at Capcom's playbook and reissue the game with a number of enhancements. Revealed as Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, the assorted ninjas of Jade, Kitana, Reptile and Scorpion would be playable from the start, but the game would introduce the concept of Ultimate Combat Codes, a basic button entry screen that could unlock new features in the game. While regular combat codes would modify the following match, Ultimate Combat Codes had the ability, amongst other things, to unlock new characters. Bringing back the classic ninja variant of Sub-Zero and the purple garbed Mileena were basic ways to expand the cast past the launch team, but entering a certain code would have the red ninja jump up on screen declaring, "From this point on, I am at your control." After 3 previous versions of the game, the fan suspected Ermac was finally available in the game. When the title was ported to the Genesis and Super Nintendo, Ermac and the other ninjas were available from the start. For the Saturn port, he could be activated via the secret options menu, and for the PlayStation... oh wait, the PlayStation didn't get Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 for some reason. With Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 being a significant boost to the solid Mortal Kombat 3 gameplay and the advancing of 3D gameplay, Midway would then finalise their 2D era with the release of Mortal Kombat Trilogy, the second upgrade for the title and the final mainline title to be done completely in 2D. Not released in arcades, the title would feature Ermac on the character select screen by default. Now a standard fighter in the franchise, his attraction screen would tease his background, which would outline that he is an enigma to all who come into contact with him. Ermac's past remains shrouded in mystery. It's believed that he exists as a life force brought together by souls of the extinguished Outworld warriors. Shao Kahn has managed to take possession of these souls and use them to fight on the side of tyranny. Beating the game will provide 2 different endings depending if you were playing Ultimate or Trilogy, so let's look at what these have to say. The first says, having been in hiding since the first Mortal Kombat, neither the Earth nor the Outworld has recognised this elusive ninja. Ermac uses his victory in the tournament to prove his existence, as well as a warning that he will return as an unstoppable force in the fourth Mortal Kombat. The other states, when Khan finally eliminates his opposition, he finds a new and surprising foe in Ermac. The Outworld souls that give life to the warrior did not trust this tyrannical leader who planned to consume the powerful life for his own power. Even Shao Kahn's power was no match for the overwhelming strength of legions of deceased Outworld warriors. They destroyed their master in a battle that devastated the entire realm. Ermac was left behind to rule it with his own brand of oppression. Ermac would feature 3 main attacks in gameplay: a basic fireball, a scorpion style teleport punch, and a telekinetic slam, which is used in an over-the-top fashion as one of his fatalities. Another fatality simply has him uppercutting the opponent's head off, ripping off Johnny Cage. His animality has him turning into a frog and eating the opponent, and he has the standard issue brutality and babalities available to him. Lastly, his friendship has him host a magic show, hoisting the victim into the air and turning them into a bunny. Great! As a recurring character in a number of Mortal Kombat games, but never a main character, he would make appearances in the 3D based Deception, Shaolin Monks and Armageddon, which would end up destroying all of the original continuity of the first timeline. With the 2011 reboot involving time travel to undo the apocalypse, Ermac would continue to make appearances in the new timeline of 2011, 10 and 11. Outside of appearing in the games, Ermac appeared in the Mortal Kombat Annihilation movie as one of Shao Kahn's generals, portrayed by John Medlin, but eventually is killed by Sonya by breaking his neck. Around the same era, he would appear in an episode of Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm, alongside a red female ninja, Ruby, created for the show. He would then appear in Mortal Kombat Legacy, played by Kim Do-wen. Ermac may be epitomised by being very much a be careful what you wish for fans, as he was heavily rumoured and effectively demanded by the public. But when he finally appeared, he was simply a recolour of the generic male ninja, and while conceptually being a number of souls rolled into one, to this day he's never fully been explored. But I guess at least a case could still be made that some of the mystery around him remains intact. Big thank you to my friend Chad Bonin who helped me write this episode, and if you enjoyed this one, please subscribe, then I demand you watch my upload on Shenlong being real. Yeah, cheerio.